Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. This is your host, Emmett Muckles. This is the day the Lord has made. Your job is to rejoice and be glad that you're here. So every day that you get up, say thank you. Live in gratitude. You can always find the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. As a matter of fact, I found it in places I didn't even put it. So it's available for you. Today, we're going to talk about the body, the mind, the spirit. We're going to talk about how you are in control of your destiny and your wellness. We are talking with Darian Parker. How are you, sir?
I am doing extremely well. Very thankful to be on your podcast, Emmett, and looking forward to having a wonderful conversation.
You have a lot of letters behind your name. You got Ph.D, NSCA, CPT. What is it? We know what a Ph.D. is. So what's the rest of it? The NSCA CPT
is the National Strength and Conditioning Association, and it's for certified personal trainer. So that is the certification that I obtained to be basically a professional personal trainer with a variety of clients in all different disciplines and different populations. So that's what that is. Yeah.
All right. Now, it used to be a scenario where women only worried about their real wellness. Men went to work and they came home, they ate the big piece of chicken and they sat on the couch.
Daddy's big piece of chicken.
Daddy's big piece of chicken.
Yeah.
Now, men have the Adonis complex. Women have looking for the Coke bottle figure. I mean, it's gone to an extreme. What do you think pushed this increase in awareness of wellness and fitness?
That's a really good question, because I think over my almost 20 years being in the business, it's changed dramatically. And I think what's changed is in the last, I would say, 8 to 10 years, there's been this real big push commercially for fitness and wellness. And actually, I think you can maybe trace it to 20 years, where it kind of started not so much with the figure with The Biggest Loser. That show really brought personal trainers and health and wellness into the limelight. And then after that, it really started happening with social media has become a huge thing, and particularly Instagram. Now it's gone from your fitness professionals, talking about fitness and wellness, to more of your fitness influencers, health and wellness influencers, and they're driving a lot of the conversation. And a lot of that conversation is being driven by men and women about how you look, how your picture looks, the filter on the picture, women being strong, and it's and they're not necessarily professionals, but they have a lot of pull and clout because they have a lot of followers. And so social media has really blown up the I would say the awareness of health and wellness for both men and women over especially the past 5 years on Instagram. Yeah, so I think it's something that it's an interesting dichotomy, because you want to have people aware of health and wellness, but you also want to be aware of who's providing your information, and is it from credible sources for that, and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But I think it's something that it's becoming a huge part of our society. But still, if you look at research and what's going on, it's not translating into more people being fit. I mean, look at research, only 20% of Americans are actually getting the daily recommended exercise values for that. So you got a good 80% of people that are still not regularly exercising. They may be looking at all these pictures and things of Instagram and stuff like that, but they're not necessarily doing the regular exercise for it. So there's a real issue in our country with actually getting people active. But I think what we're seeing is active is maybe not realistic for people because they're seeing these super fit people on Instagram and on, Snapchat or whatever it may be. And it's not realistic for a lot of people. It's really, you got to become the best version of yourself, not what somebody else looks like. And that's what we do as human nature. We like to compare ourselves to each other and then say, hey, how do I look like that person? And versus saying, how do I look like the best version of myself instead?
Yeah. We have body types. We have ectomorph, we have endomorphs, and a lot of people don't even know what type they are. And an ectomorph is trying to look like an endomorph. And there's one more category. I can't remember what it is. But, some of those can morph into the semblance of another. But a lot of people need to understand they are the way they were designed, and they need to be the best, like you said, where they are. Now, I have to correct myself. This is Dr. Darian Parker.
Hey, it's okay. I'm not a big stickler about that stuff. I mean, I have my Ph.D., but I'm not one of these folks who's like, man, call me doctor. I'm like, no, I'm Darian. Just, whatever,
Yeah, but you've earned it. Now, when you were younger, did you picture yourself being your own boss?
No, definitely not. I never had an entrepreneurial spirit growing up. It wasn't. I think I was probably like a lot of people I knew, which is you go to college, you get a job, you work for somebody, and you see how it goes with that. And I would say up until maybe the last 5 years is when I really started thinking maybe I want to have my own businesses and get out there and see if I can influence in that way and change my lifestyle that way. But growing up, no, I never had that feeling. My father was in the military for 28 years. My mother, she worked for a department store for a long time. And so, they're essentially employees, and that's what I saw. And I never saw any business owners growing up. And growing up in the military, I was always on military bases, and everybody I knew was in the military.
Yep.
So there were no entrepreneurs that I saw when I was growing up.
So what was the change of heart, and what lessons did you have to learn to be in that space?
I think the change of heart was I think this goes back to my military, kind of brat background is I always lived in different places all the time, every couple years. And I was being used to being told what to do. And, hey, this is where we're moving. You don't have any choice. And I got real good at just being very good at taking orders. And, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then I worked for a global leisure company for over a decade. And I really enjoyed it. And I got in a really big leadership position. At one point, I was the national director for the company for fitness. And I started thinking, I have something to offer. Like I can actually do something on my own, and I don't need permission to be the best version of myself and to make a difference. And so really over the last probably year, especially, is when I thought, well, I'm 40 years old, and this is the time I need to really do this. If I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it any other time. I'll just keep taking orders, and I'll continue to be comfortable in life. And, like a lot of people, you're doing something, it's safe, it's easy, it's something you can just repeat on a regular, press play, repeat. And I said, you know what, I need to break the record, and I need to take a chance in life and do something different. And that's where that came from.
Yeah. And you're in the fitness and wellness industry. Many people, when they decide to do something on their own, they take a complete pivot. They discover some slight passion, but you stayed the course. Yeah. I mean, explain your path and your decision to me. I've always been into fitness and wellness, and honestly, I would never consider doing anything else. I feel like it was meant to be for me. My father was an amazing athlete. He was a collegiate football player. My brother was a collegiate football player. I was the scholarship track athlete in college. And it was just something, I knew exercise was always going to be a part of my life. I never
wanted to do anything else. I wasn't a person who went to college and said, well, let me think about what I want to do. I knew what I wanted to do. It's just that in fitness, there's so many different pathways to do what you want to do. And so I think the decision for me was like, well, I have almost 20 years of experience. I just need to leverage that experience for a new thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so it was, and I get what you're saying, because I've known quite a few people who were like, they're in one business and then all of a sudden they're like, now I'm going to be a baker. I'm going to open up my own store or something. And they were like in the tech business or something before. And I'm like, wait a minute, do you even know anything about this? Like, you know, type of thing. And I was like, no, I'm just going to do what I know, but I want to put my twist on it, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome. You know, you were in the,
Yep.
you say that you were a military brat, and when you're a military offspring, so to speak, you're moving a lot. So you have to almost imbibe the Dale Carnegie method, which is get to know people and to, you know, be social. So, you know, you probably built up a network. How has that affected your, you know, your growth in this industry and in your industry as well?
I think growing up in a military family, it was kind of the opposite effect, in the sense that when I was growing up, I did not get close to people because I knew I was going to be leaving them. And so when you're stationed, we were stationed in Germany twice and all over the United States. When you're stationed someplace, you know when the end is. So, you know, your father says, hey, we're only going to be here for 1 year. We're going to be here 6 months. We're going to be here 2 years. So you meet people, but you keep them at a distance because you know I'm never going to see you again. But, you know, we're going to have to coexist during this time and be friendly. But there's a good chance that we will know each other for this time and only this time in our lives. And you're learning that when you're like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, that lesson. So initially it affected me because I didn't like to get close to people. Once my dad stayed in the military, but I grew up and, you know, I went to high school and then I went to college and on my own. And I said, you know, I really need to learn how to get close to people and have longer term relationships because I'm just not used to that. So I really did some soul searching in college, and I took a public speaking course, and at James Madison, where I went to college, part of the curriculum in kinesiology was you took a basic counseling course. So I had a psychiatrist for 6 months as part of the program. And I felt like that really helped me to get over kind of that sense of keeping people at a distance. And then once I got over that, I started speaking publicly into large audiences and stuff. And then I wanted to have long-term relationships with people. And so I met my wife not long after, and, you know, I wanted to have a long-term relationship. And, you know, we've been married, it'll be 15 years this year. And once I got into positions where I was leading people in the job market, I really focused on, I want to create long-term, meaningful, trust-based relationships with people. And so I would do a variety of different things to really facilitate that, whoever I was with. And then that just led into my networking now, which is I'm constantly on the phone every week speaking to different connections that I have on LinkedIn and friends and trying to foster meaningful long-term relationships with them. And so now I'm bringing that into my own business that I have.
You know, excuse me. That's awesome. You know, this is why I love talking to you guys, is because you guys become my mentors. You know, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is one thing that you can benefit from is the experience of others, because it may oftentimes is different than yours, but you can use it as your perspective to help grow your own life. Now, I have a big question because things change.
Okay.
Things change rapidly.
Of course.
What is the next fitness trend? What's happening? What's coming up? You know, we went through, I'll take it back to the 90s where everything was aerobic. And then we went to the muscles, you know, the get cut, get swole, do squats, get swole. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
and now we're into the ketogenic and this, that, you know, there's always something new. And it's really a lot of basics, listen to your own body. But what do you see that's trending up?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we're going to see, and I think it's happening now, but I think you're going to see it on a larger thing, which is fitness and technology coinciding on a very large level. So basically, I've been contacted recently by people who are doing augmented reality and personal training, or they're doing digital fitness. You got companies like Peloton and now Technogym that Peloton's the big fish, where basically you have the spin bike and you have live spin instruction going on with that. So that is a really, I think, robust market. As the technology gets better, the services will get better for that. And, it's just like here, we're looking at each other having a podcast here. I mean, if you think many, many years ago, you had to have a studio, you had to have a lot of money, you had to be able to do all these things to produce a show. And now technology has made that considerably easier for a lot of people. And fitness is actually becoming the same way, where the convenience of fitness coming to you through your phone, your iPad, augmented reality is becoming a gigantic thing. And so I think that trend is huge. I think the other trend really is fitness and fashion. I think fitness and fashion have become huge in that, with Lululemon, Fabletics, Athleta. Now people are wearing fitness clothes who don't even exercise. Yeah. They don't exercise. They just, right? They just wear it around.
Yeah, stretchy pants, man. Stretchy pants used to never be a thing. Man,
that was never a thing, right? It was like sweatpants or something like that,
right?
But you wore it at your house, or you were working out,
Grandma has stretchy pants on.
Grandma had, yeah. But now people, it's everywhere. And you go to the airport, people are wearing yoga pants while they're going to get on a flight, while they're picking up their kids, while they're getting food. It's literally everywhere. So fitness has even infiltrated clothing and fashion for people who are not even actually exercising.
That's true.
It's incredible. So that, I think, will continue. You'll see more saturation of that market, of the clothing market with fitness. But I definitely think digital, augmented reality, those are the next big things in fitness.
I can concur with that, because you can see on my wrist, I have this.
Yeah, exactly.
I wear it 24/7. I literally wear it to bed. I switch it on my wrist so the band isn't cold on my wife when I touch her in the middle of the night. Yeah. But it tells me how long I slept. It tells me when I was in REM sleep. It tells me when I was restless. It tells me when I was in light sleep. It tells me how many steps I made in the day. It tells me how much elevation I needed. It tells me what my average heart rate. And if I upgrade to the next level, it will even monitor my blood pressure. So we now have access to data to see how our lives are changing. And we were talking earlier about how I had this weight loss. Part of that weight loss, now I'm collecting the data in reflection, and I realized something major changed when my major weight gain started to go down. Weight decrease started to happen, which was I start sleeping 7 hours and more a night. Yep. And before that, I might get 3 to 5 hours. I'm good.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And
that's another big thing. Sleep is huge. And actually, I've made it a huge part of my lifestyle. I was never a great sleeper. I mean, I was sleeping like 5-6 hours a night. But there's a tremendous research, especially by sleep researcher Matthew Walker, and that now we're seeing now that sleep is the foundation that nutrition and fitness sit on, not the other way around.
Yeah. And
that we know that the greatest, basically, performance enhancement drug, the legal one, is sleep. That if you ask any recovery specialist, I talked to lots of recovery specialists all over the country through my networking stuff, and they'll always tell you sleep is the number one way to recover. Not the different gadgets, icing, not vibration technology. It's sleep, and we have a real sleep epidemic in the United States and actually in the world. People are sleeping way less now than they used to sleep 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, thank Edison for that one.
Yeah, the light, the blue light and all that. Exactly. You're totally right.
Yeah. This is actually true because I will literally wake up. We have this window and we live near a major road. And if someone has their brights on, I will literally pop out. In the summertime, I wake up on an average like 10 minutes before the sun actually rises because we have the sunlight. I'm a light being. We are people of the sun. In the wintertime, I am a bear. I hibernate. I don't want to do.
You're hibernating.
I don't want to do anything. Motivation is gone. It's just I literally have to go to the gym to keep from turning into Bane.
Oh, that's funny.
That's
where I live in the Pacific Northwest up here in Blaine, so it's really far north, and so like in the summertime, the sun doesn't set till like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So it's really light. So I have to have the eye mask and I have a heavy blanket and everything so that I can sleep effectively, because if not, I'll just be awake.
Yeah. And that's what we used to be. We used to be really regulated by the sun, and we've gotten away from it with this artificial light. But, I can't say enough about how much it's changed my life and fitness as well. Also, yoga.
Oh, definitely. That's another big thing. Yoga has been around for so long, and people are experiencing this kind of yoga renaissance, I think. And, as a operator of clubs and manager of clubs and things, we've seen yoga is a trend that goes in and out constantly. It never goes away. It's just kind of always bubbling on the surface. But I think the mind-body connection of yoga has become a pretty big thing. And the whole trends element of meditation is also big. And people are inundated with so much information in their lives these days because of technology. The technology we're using right now and people are using is keeping them awake. It's keeping them constantly engaged in stimuli. And so people need to disconnect. So yoga has become a great way for that.
Awesome. Now, what made you, you could have started any kind of business you wanted related to health and fitness. You could have went personal and said, I'm just going to come to your house, or I'm going to meet with you, or I'm going to be working with you with diet and lifestyle and working out. But you decided to open your own spa, fitness and lifestyle consulting and management company. What was your motivation, or how did you come to that conclusion?
Well, I think one of the biggest things was I have a really good colleague. His name is Alan Jacobauskas, who is actually my business partner in this venture. And I think over the years, we developed this really close relationship. And we were doing that business in a different company that he had been in for 20 years. I had been in for almost 12 years. And I think over the course of the time, he kind of saw that I was looking to kind of get my way out of that company. And not because it was bad or anything, it was a great situation for me. It's just that I wanted to leave something when it was good, not when it was bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to have the courage to say, hey, you know what? I want to leave on top, feeling good, and I want to challenge myself. And it was what I knew. I knew about spas. I knew about fitness facilities. I knew about recreation facilities and your luxury environments, whether it's in residential, community master plan communities, hotels, corporate fitness facilities. And I said, the company I was with, they're wonderful, but they're a huge company. They're in 33 countries. And sometimes when companies are so big, you lose that very personal touch that you get with things. And so I said, I want to create something that's small, a boutique level version of what we were doing, only on the West Coast, and be able to just enjoy time with my family, work remotely, work from home, and have a small piece of the pie, not a big piece of the pie. I do not want to conquer the world. I hear that sometimes from my colleagues and people like, I just want to go, I'm going to make a huge difference. I want to change the world. I do not want to change the world. I want to change my little space. I do. I want to change the people that I can actually change in my space, in my hemisphere of influence, and do that one by one for me. I don't aspire to have this large thing. I aspire to enjoy sitting on the beach, having a cocktail a few times, relaxing, speaking with people that I love and care about, and being productive in my business. And if I have too much, let's say if I'm trying to conquer everything, those two things will not exist. I'll be working myself like crazy. I've done that before, and I will not be able to enjoy the lifestyle that I want to have. So I think that resonated with both of us. And so we decided to start Epic Leisure Management as a small boutique spa, fitness, recreation, consulting and management company to control our own destiny, to enjoy having a good time with our friends and family, but to also have meaningful work that we knew we could actually touch within an hour or two from where we're at. And we could actually spend the time with our clients, have meaningful conversations, very productive facilities, amenity management, and not overstretch ourselves where we're like, man, we're going to be all over the world and not be able to service these clients for that. So it's been a real concerted effort to be small, not be big.
You know, this is really awesome in synchronicity because I'm happy right now because you said that.
Yeah.
And this is the reason, because we are bombarded with information says you got to be a millionaire, you got to make 6, 7, 9 figures. No.
Yeah. No.
You just need what you need and a little bit more. You need what you need when you need it so that you can enjoy life. It's an experience. We are H-U-E, man beings. We are people under the sun of a color in the image of man, and we're having an experience. But if you're trying to get that green and more than you want, you won't have time to really have the being part, which is what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what, there's clear research out there that shows when a person makes over a certain amount of money, I want to say it's in like the $110,000, $120,000 a year range, that it doesn't change your lifestyle in terms of happiness. It doesn't make you happier. And I want to be happy. I want to spend time with my 7-year-old daughter. I want to spend time with my wife. I want to spend time with my friends. And I know that, I grew up in a lifestyle or culture that work was celebrated like you work yourself to death. And and we celebrate these people. We celebrate them. We go, oh, top 5 things successful CEOs do. They don't sleep. They work 100 hours a week. They don't. And I'm like, why are we celebrating these people? This is the opposite of being healthy and being well. I don't want to do that. I don't want to own a company and be like, I just work myself to the bone. And, I neglect my family and I neglect, my friends. No, I want to spend time with the people I love. I want to have enough that I can be comfortable in life, but I don't need to have everything. I don't think it's realistic. And we know it's when you think, even when you have a ton of resources, you still want more. You're never satisfied with it. So I'd rather have small victories than gigantic victories.
Yeah, you and I are of like minds. Well,
awesome.
I really want to thank you. How can people reach you?
The best way to reach me is I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and so my LinkedIn profile is the best way to reach me on there. The other way is through my email, which is darianparker@gmail.com. So DarianParker@gmail.com. And then our company website for Epic Leisure Management is another way to reach me and what we're doing. It's just elmadventures.com, like elm, like the tree, elmadventures.com. And you'll see on there, we're a very simple company. It's not flashy and all this stuff. It's very simple. It's about people first. And that's the motto. Take care of people first. You're human beings first, not workers first. Human beings first.
That's one of the reasons I did a call out is because we have a new economy. The 21st century is dead. The industrial age has died in 2000, pretty much.
Right.
When that died, it's time for us now to get back to the old way, which is barter, live, and earn yourself, and make your legacy within your circle, which is within your family. So be the example your children need to be so that they can follow in your footsteps and be their own person. That's the only way, is to bring the power back to the population and get away from these large monolithic structures. Like I said, man, I want to thank you so much. And I might be reaching out and be like, I'm having a plateau issue.
Anytime, Emmett. Reach out anytime. I'm happy to help out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it ends. It never ends. You are a billionaire and you're living a lifestyle. And most people say, I'm not a billionaire. And I go, lies. I say, please, and this is my demonstration. I ask them to hold up their right or their left hand. And then they hold it up and I say, that is your hand. And they agree. And then I say, let's just talk about from the tip of your longest finger down to where your hand meets your wrist. And they say, okay, cool, whatever. And I say, that is your hand, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that hand is made up of cells and it's made up of ligaments. But let's get back to the cells. In that general area that is your hand, there are at least 1 billion cells just in the dermis alone. And you own that. So you're already a billionaire. We haven't even got to the gut flora. We haven't got to the brain cells. We haven't got to all the other systems that come into play, which actually make you, we don't even know the number, but you are born rich. You are born wealthy. You are born of our Creator. This is why I say to you, when you get out the shower, drop your towel because that is your God body. Look in the mirror and revel in that God body. It is a miracle. It is what you are. It is you at your native essence. Then, once you've taken all that in, do a spin around. You might see some rolls, might see some folds, might see some moles. But get close to the mirror, and I want you to look where the light enters into your system called the eye. It looks like a nebula. As above, so below. The things that you think in your head affect the body. As above, so below. You are powerful. You are a billionaire. Just remember, when you see someone who has the nebulae like you, treat them with love, honor, respect, and justice. Till next time, love you all.